Hey there, Leo. Welcome to your reading for August 2025. Happy birthday to you, August Leos out there. You have this pregnancy and birth card and this Akashic record card. So, yeah, obviously, if you've been trying to get pregnant, there you go. Could be getting pregnant, or maybe you are. Congratulations. If you're too old to get pregnant or can't get pregnant, guess what? That part of the message isn't for you. So there you go. You could also be pregnant with an idea or a plan or a goal or something that you want to accomplish. So, again, looks pretty good to me there, Leo. I kind of feel like the Akashic record card is saying that something is like written in the stars. It's like something is meant to happen here, or like something is part of your story. But it's like it's not part of your story yet, but it's like something is about to be a part of your story. It's like something is, like I said, written in the stars is the best way I could say it. It's like something is meant to happen. And obviously I feel this is going to be a good thing. You have a very good reading here, Leo. Again, I just said this to Aries, but I'm going to say it to you as well. You have one of the better readings this month. Again, the readings this month, they haven't really been bad. They've just been weird, I would say, for like everybody else. But apparently, fire signs are going to have a great time this month. So there you go. You have the Knight of Cups, the Two of Wands, and the Four of Cups in your current general energies for the month. There is a little bit of love here. I mean, you have the Ace of Cups, the Empress, Page of Wands. You have a lot of cards that could represent like an admirer or a person. I'm pretty sure you've been getting love with me here, Leo. So, obviously if you want love, there's love available to you. Definitely could be a Knight in Shining Armor. I feel like it's a very intuitive connection. You have the High Priestess right next to the Knight of Cups. So, this would kind of represent a connection that's like very where it's like you communicate with each other without communicating. It's like telepathic, so there could be a very strong connection coming in for you, and that's definitely something I would pay attention to, with this Knight of Cups. That could be a clue as to like who this person is if you don't know already. If you already have a connection, this looks amazing, which I feel like I said to you in your last reading as well. The Knight of Cups can also be you working on a dream, and it does seem to be a good time for you to do that. So, if you're working on any big picture projects or ideas, very good. You have the Two of Wands. Two of Wands about taking the lead. You're a Leo. I mean, Leos are meant to take the lead, I believe, in life. So definitely could be a good time for you to take the lead. Something behind you is complete. He has this wand behind him on the Two of Wands. And the whole point of the Two of Wands is that this thing behind him stands on its own. And now he's reaching forward and starting something new or working on something new. And so I think a lot of you kind of are just working on the next big thing in your life, right? That's kind of like the message that's popping into my head here. I'm getting a lot of messages for you randomly, like more intuitive than anything. So, again, I think you're working towards the next big thing. Now, you have the world. He has the world in his hands. You have the world right here, and you also have the Fool. So it's kind of like you have to take the leap of faith. You have to take the risk to get out into the world like he does. He has to take the risk of leaving a comfort zone to make something happen. So, do it. You have the Four of Cups. A lot of Four of Cups energy this month I've noticed as well, which is kind of interesting. Four of Cups is a card of disappointments. Four of Cups is my card that says you have the ingredients for success. Imagine he's trying to manifest a cake. It's like he has the flour, the sugar, the eggs, and, something else right here, but he just needs to mix it all together and pop it into the oven. And I kind of feel like that's where you're at in life, Leo. It's like you're actually probably a lot closer to the result you want than you think. You're still going to have to mix it together, and it's still going to have to be in the oven for like an hour, 45 minutes, or however long a cake takes, right? I don't know. I'm not a baker. But what I would say is, something still is going to need to gestate. You have that pregnancy card and birth card, right? It's like, you're going to have to pop this bun in the oven, and it's going to take some time, but it's like something is growing over time. And I kind of just feel like the Four of Cups is saying, let go of the fear, We go up to the Ace of Cups. It's like, whatever, you're going to love it. Whatever this thing is. Whatever you're trying to grow. And it doesn't have to be love. It could be, a part of your dream. For a lot of you, I think it's something you're working on, where you have the ingredients. You just have to pop it in the oven. With the Knight of Cups, you have the Ten of Wands. I think you're much closer to something than you think. Exactly like I just said. He is much closer to his goal than he thinks. But the problem is that all those wands are in front of his face. So he can't see how close he is to his goal. But he's very close. Same thing in love as well. That's the other thing that's popping into my head is like you might be thinking that love is more work than is actually required. And so I almost feel like this card is saying like, don't make something more complicated than it needs to be. I almost feel like like, if you are attracting love right now, it's almost like it could be easy. And I feel like it's saying, let it be easy. I feel like this Ten of Wands is saying, don't pile on top of something that's coming in for you, love-wise, if you want love, and just let it work, right? It's like, let it be easy. And I feel that for you. And it kind of reminds me also of, like, sometimes I think we argue against things that we know we want. I don't have a good example for you here, Leo. I wish I had a good example of what the hell I'm trying to talk about here. But it's like, I don't know. Like, I've heard people in relationships, like, if I'm talking to those of you that are in a relationship, where it's like, if your partner is doing something you want, and maybe you're having to do something for them that they want, it's like, just let it be easy. I don't know. There's something about that popping into my head. I don't know. There you go. With the Two of Wands, you have the Knight of Cups again. So there you go. Definitely could be a person from a distance. The funny thing is, for some of you, it could be an Aries that's coming in for you here, Leo, because you showed up in their reading as well. So I think that for some of you, it could also be a person who has Aries in their chart. It could also be any freaking sign, doesn't matter. But, you have the World right here. So for some of you, this could be like a long distance connection. For some of you, it's like maybe you're going to be traveling or moving to be with this person in the future. So, Two of Wands, leaving a comfort zone, world can be travel. So there you go. Here you go. The Four of Cups, this is going to be one of those readings, Leo, where you have the Fool. Whenever we have a reading that has a bunch of repeating cards, it's basically the universe saying I meant what I said. I actually really like readings like this that have a bunch of repeating cards because, it's kind of like confirmation for your path. It basically says you're doing the things that you need to be doing. So Fool would say, take a leap of faith. You have the ingredients necessary to be very successful. Next, in the area of what's coming in for you, you have this Fork in the Road card and this Come to the Edge card. Yeah, like the Come to the Edge card says you have to push yourself to that point where you'd normally give up on something and go a little bit further. The Fork in the Road card kind of encourages you to pick the new path. So if you're trying to make a choice or a decision, I think moving in the new direction is clearly what the reading wants you to do. Now, obviously, you're probably going to have to leave a comfort zone to go in that new direction. But, I also kind of feel like it'll be worth it. You have the High Priestess, the Sun, in the World. I always say that, to me, Leos are the most underrated intuitives in the zodiac. So, I live with a Leo, my brother, and like I cannot tell you how many times, like a week, he comes to me and he'll like literally say something to me that I was just thinking about, right? But if you asked him, he would say, no, I'm not intuitive, right? So I don't know. I think Leos are very intuitive. My dad was the same way. My dad is Leo as well, and there were many times when I was younger, living with my parents, obviously, where like basically the same thing would happen. He would like say something to me that I was just thinking about. So, again, I think Leos are very underrated intuitives, and I think you need to trust your intuition at this time. We are in a very intuitive time, so obviously I would. The other thing is I would focus on the light. We have these two pillars, Boaz and Yekin over here, and there's many. Kind of says like in God, His strength or something like that is what it translates to. Some people read it as the dark and the light. These two pillars. I don't, but it is popping into my head that way. And really, really, I think the way to translate this, the two pillars, is that it's about you can't have the light without the dark, is really what I think is, that's intuitively what I've always felt with the two pillars on this card. And so it's like kind of like you need both. But for whatever reason, in your reading, I'm getting that you need to like go towards light more. And I'm not talking about like darkness as in evil things or anything like that here, Leo. But I just think there are things that make you feel light and there are things that make you feel heavy, right? And I feel the Sun here with that High Priestess is definitely encouraging you to kind of like move towards the light here and go towards things that make you feel more light and more lighthearted, more playful, things that bring more love, joy, and peace into your life. I'm always talking about ease with you. This just popped into my head, is that you always get the Sun, which makes sense, you're Leo, but he's carrying this banner, and it's meant to look very heavy, but he's carrying it very easily. You also have the High Priestess. All she has to do is wave that scepter in front of her, and that wheat in front of her will grow. these are cards of ease, doing things easily or making things easier on yourself. So it doesn't say life is going to be easy, but it just says there are things you can do to make things easier. And that's what I would be doing with the sun. And it's like, believe it or not, years ago, I don't remember who told me, but basically many years ago, someone told me this, that, hey, guess what? Things don't have to be so hard. You can make things easier. And I started doing it, and it changed my life. So it's like, yeah, I don't think everybody knows this. I didn't know it. I always just thought I had to work hard and make things happen, right? But it's like, if you allow things to be easy, they can be. You have the world. Again, I do feel like you could be attracting someone from a distance for some of you. For some of you, it's just encouraging you to get out into the world. So it might not be distance. It might just say, if you leave the house, you will attract love. I also feel that there could be some accomplishments coming in for you here, Leo, and I feel that's a good thing. Didn't I say this to you recently, that you haven't peaked yet? It's like, I think some of you need to realize that you're moving on to the next logical step in your life, and it's like you haven't peaked. I feel like some of you are worried about that. Like, you're worried that, like, have I reached the top? Is this all there is in life? Like, those questions are popping into my head with the world card here. And the world is good, but I read intuitively, and that's, kind of what I'm getting. So, but the answer is no, you haven't peaked yet. With the High Priestess, you have the Ace of Cups again. I told you, more repeating cards, right? So, there you go. Could be a Pisces for some of you here that's coming in for you. Speaking of my brother, he's about to move out and he's moving in with a Pisces. So, his girlfriend, right? So, there you go. I'm not going to say too much about that, but, definitely it could be a Pisces. So I've experienced it firsthand. So there you go. With the Sun, you have the Judgment card. Judgment is like a wake-up call. So a lot of wake-up call energy right now. I don't know. I kind of feel this is collective energy in general because of Uranus and Gemini. I think Uranus and Gemini will give people a lot of these like electric ideas, kind of like random eccentric ideas that could be popping into your head. I would pay attention to those ideas. That's basically what I've said to other people, is that, these ideas could be a wake-up call in some way, or, they could be like a revelation, or even like light bulb moments going off in your head. And you could be having more of them right now because of Uranus and Gemini, and this could continue for the next 10 years, or basically a little bit less. Uranus leaves Gemini in 2033. Technically, it will go into Cancer in 2032, but it's only for a short period of time, and it retrogrades back into Gemini pretty quickly. So technically 2033. And, again, what I would say here is that I would pay attention over the next until 2033 to those ideas. With the World card, you have the Justice card. See, I think you need to move towards what works. It's funny that I just went on that. I said that thing about things don't need to be hard, because justice is sometimes cause and effect. Meaning, if you put work into something, do you get a result? If the answer is yes, keep going. If the answer is no, stop and do something else, right? So justice even says that life can be easy if we pay attention. If we put energy into things and we get energy out of them, those are the things we should be doing. We should be avoiding the things that steal our energy, right? And, I would pay attention to that with that card. Next, in the area of messages from your future self, you have this Knowledge card. It says mentor, teacher, truth, and guidance. You have this Naked in Public card. It says vulnerability, shame, and unprepared. I think you are more prepared than you realize here, Leo, is what this card is saying. So I think that you need to, let me make sure there aren't any chesticles poking out here on this card. Sorry. But anyway, I think that you are more prepared than you think. And maybe I'll go like this so that you can actually see the words that are on that card. But, again, I think that you have the knowledge necessary to do something. I feel like some of you are worried that you're going to be, something isn't going to work out, or it isn't going to go how you want it to, but it actually is. Could be love. Like, you could be worried that, like, oh, if I tell this person I like them, or if I, if I go on this date or whatever, it's not going to work. But I actually think it is. So, I don't know. I wouldn't worry too much about it. By the way, we are in, just as a random side note, it is an amazing time to learn from teachers and to get knowledge from people. And but again, these people don't have to be alive. There's plenty of free information from people who are very successful, who've passed away on YouTube, right? So, I think it's an amazing time to learn. You have the Ace of Cups, the Magician, and the Fool. You've definitely asked for something. It's like you keep getting these messages. I think it's like you and Cancer, which you're born right next to each other. It kind of makes sense. It's like you two keep getting these messages. Or no, you and Aquarius, maybe. I'm not sure. Your opposite sign. But I think you've asked for something. It's like you're getting it, but maybe you just don't think you're getting it, but you actually are. So I would keep your eyes peeled here. I would, again, speaking of ease, the Ace of Cups can very easily reach down into the water below it and fill itself back up. So the Ace of Cups is also about putting yourself in situations of ease, like allowing things to be easier, allowing things to work out for you, and that's definitely what I would do here with the Ace of Cups, for sure. Next, you have the Magician. Again, I feel like you've attracted something or manifested something that you want. The Magician, he's pointing down to the Page of Wands. And the Page of Wands says you need to, is basically the card of following your bliss. He follows his enthusiasm or his excitement, and he doesn't really have a good reason as to why. So, really, for the most part, if you tell people you're following your enthusiasm, they're going to be like, okay, that's great. Now go get a job, right? Because usually our enthusiasm doesn't make sense. But I think that's what we all need to be doing right now, is we all need to be moving towards like enthusiasm, excitement, happiness, joy, all those good feelings. You have the Fool. Definitely time to take a risk, Leo. Time to take a leap of faith. You literally have this Come to the Edge card, which is like very similar to the Fool, but a little bit different, because the Come to the Edge card is about, again, pushing yourself to that point where you'd normally give up on something and then going just a little bit further, right? And that's what I would do there. With the Fool, again, I would take some, I think it's time for you to take some sort of leap of faith towards whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, because I feel like you will be very successful if you do that. I also feel like you're over-prepared for something. Like, sometimes the Fool, let's put it this way. He has this tiny little sack on his back right here, and it says that he's about to go through the entire Major Arcana, this big, long journey, and that's all he's bringing with him. So it's like sometimes I feel what the Fool is actually saying in a reading is that you are overestimating the requirements to get started on something, and it could be anything: love, money, business, spiritual, whatever. And I feel like this is saying, like, no, you don't need to overestimate things. Like, you can get started now, is basically what I'm trying to say, right? And you will be successful. With the Ace of Cups, you have the Nine of Pentacles. Nine of Pentacles is independence. It's also gratitude and luxuries. And it's pre-Empress energy. So, you have the Empress here. There could be a ton of abundance coming in for you here, Leo. But I think this is abundance that you have to create through making things easier on yourself, right? I think this is abundance that you have to create by, kind of like really paying attention to making things easier. I don't know how else to say it. It's like a hard thing to understand, it's like a hard thing to do. It's like everybody, even for me, I have a hard time understanding it, It's like we're taught from a young age we have to work hard, but, it's like as I've become successful and spent a lot of time with very successful people who are even more successful than me, it's like what I've realized is that some of them don't work very hard. And I mean that in the best way possible, right? They are super efficient. They do what is easy and what works. They don't like overcomplicate things. And so, yeah, sure. It's like if you believe that to be successful you have to work hard, then yeah, it's going to be hard work. But if you believe that to be successful you have to be efficient, then that's what it can mean, right? With the Magician, you have the King of Pentacles. Yes, a lot of stuff about wealth here. This is a very good money reading here, Leo. Like, whatever you're working on, I feel like I said this to you recently as well. Like, whatever you're working on, clearly, there's going to be some major improvements in your finances if this hasn't already happened. So, I like to see that. With the Fool, you have the Magician. Again, you cannot make this up. Again, normally this happens to Cancer. Cancer is normally the sign that gets all the repeating cards. Now, it's you in this reading. So, Magician twice, pointing both times towards the Page of Wands. So, definitely time for you to take that leap of faith, Leo. Next, in the area of the good stuff, you have this: your inner self is being renewed day by day, so new and better ways can come forth. You have this Ultimate Fulfillment card. It says you're now entering into a time of peace, happiness, and emotional fulfillment. So, yeah, definitely, obviously, a very good time for you, Leo. Like I said, your reading is definitely one of the more positive ones. It's like Aries. I think yours is actually better than Aries. So, and like I said, all the other signs have been a lot more challenging, I would say. So, definitely seems to be a good time for you. It could be because we're in your birthday season now, of course, or soon, right? Depending on when you're watching this video. This will be published on the 21st, so right before, basically 24 hours before or whatever. So, definitely something to think about. We're entering into your birth period when this video is published. It's happening the day before, and so there you go. Definitely could be your time. You have the Empress, the Three of Pentacles, and the Page of Wands. Empress says you're very attractive at this time, so again, if you want love, I would definitely put yourself out there. Again, I would look for the easier ways to do things and not like overcomplicate anything that you're doing. A lot of your readings say this, but it's like I think you need to believe that it can be easy, you know, and that's really what I would pay attention to here, Leo, with the Empress card. And yeah, you have that pregnancy and birth card. Again, if you're not trying to get pregnant, be careful. Again, I feel like I shouldn't have to say this, but obviously if you're 60 or 70 or whatever and you can't get pregnant, not talking to you, right? Plain and simple. I think that should be pretty clear. I'm reading for like a million freaking people, right? So, you know, obviously, if you can't get pregnant, then you're pregnant with an idea. If you don't want to get pregnant, then you're maybe this is an idea or something you want to work on. Obviously, you're not Jesus's mother, so you're probably not going to get pregnant if you're not doing something to get pregnant, right? Pretty simple stuff here. You know, I was always good at science, so you know, I guess I am qualified to talk about the whole pregnancy thing. But you know, there you go. I would be. The other thing is though, again, I would be birthing your ideas. You are ready, Fool card. You know, it's like you're over prepared, so I think it would be worth it. Next, you have the Three of Pentacles. Three of Pentacles is about putting your work on display. I think that some of you are working on something that you are going to put on display, like a project, an idea. You know, I would really be paying attention to your inspiration, Sun, Judgment, as well. Sometimes I think we get those random inspirations, and if we don't act on the random inspiration, the universe is like, why do I keep giving Leo good ideas when they don't do anything about it, right? So I would definitely take action on those good ideas you're having, because I think they could be leading to a lot more success with the Three of Pentacles. So, you know, I would pay attention to that. You have the Page of Wands. Page of Wands says follow your enthusiasm, follow your excitement, which I do think would be a really good idea for you here, Leo. Sun also wants you to like follow your bliss, but it's not always easy to do that, like I said. So I'm not trying to say it's going to be easy for you to follow your bliss, but I would. With the Empress, you have the Wheel of Fortune here. Kind of weird. I feel like you're closing out a cycle, which I normally wouldn't really say on this card. You do have the World here, which can represent closing out a cycle. And in the Major Arcana, we go from the Fool to the World, and then we start all over again as a Fool. And guess what? You go from the World to the Fool right here. So it's like you are closing out some sort of cycle. The Wheel of Fortune is like fortune's turning around in your favor. So, you know, it could be a very fortunate time for you here, Leo. With the Three of Pentacles, you have the Ten of Pentacles. Amazing. You know, everything you want and desire in your life. You really could be leaving a legacy here. I mean, this is probably one of my favorite things for fixed signs to be doing right now, by the way, is this right here. Like, I think all fixed signs should be working on the Ten of Pentacles. Ten of Pentacles is different for all of you. It is leaving a legacy. It is, you know, doing something big in your life. And I think a lot of you are clearly working on that right now, Leo, so that's good. With the Page of Wands, you have the Two of Wands. Yes, you have the Two of Wands twice as well in your reading. He's reaching forward and grabbing onto this new wand. So again, you're clearly ready for something new. It's a pretty straightforward reading, Leo. There's like no reason to overcomplicate it. I think a lot of you are kind of like closing out a past cycle. You're like raising up into a new life with that Judgment card, or, you know, you're like following some sort of inspiration, but really good cards. So, you know, looks good. Something is written in the stars, clearly, with that Akashic Record card. Like, if this is love, I think it's, like, destined love. If this is a project that you're working on that turns into a business, it's, like, you know, part of your destiny here. You have this Ostentation card. This card is pretty good. It's about being able to tell the difference between what's real and fake in your life, like real, fake. So I think a lot of you are just, like, have a good eye at this time, and I would trust your intuition. Yep, can't make it up. You have this Optimism card. You have like every single card of optimism in the deck practically. Page of Wands, Two of Wands, the Ace of Cups, the Sun is definitely a card of optimism. The Fool is definitely a card of optimism, and you have the Fool twice. So I think that allowing optimism to guide you would be a good thing right now. And again, is that always true? Probably not. I mean, there are probably times where optimism should not be our guide. But you know, right now in your life, Leo, I would say it's true. You know, I would do it. You have this Discrimination card. Yes, I feel like there's something about your clarity of vision, because this card is about being able to tell the difference between what's right and wrong for you, Leo. And so I feel a lot of you have are like very much able to pick up on like what situations in life are good and which ones are bad for you just in general. You have this criticism card. Again, you can't make like a critical eye. Like I said, there's something about your vision here, Leo, and now it's popping into my head at the end of this reading that your vision is very clear. I actually feel this is good. I don't sure, could you be criticized right now? Sure, but I don't think that's what this is talking about. I think it's saying you have a critical eye, but in a good way. It's like you're able to see things that you maybe normally wouldn't be able to see. You have this affair card. Yes, clearly there's love in this reading. This is a good affair, not a bad affair, like cheating. This card doesn't represent cheating. It just represents being in a strong connection with a person. So love definitely is coming in for you. But this looks pretty good. Like I said, pretty straightforward. So thank you for being here, Leo, and definitely enjoy your month.